And hopefully we're going to see a Cowana that hits the ground running.
All right, let's see which map we're going to be playing on here. Our lobby is ready. I'm just getting the info from our admin, so we're going to go through this blitz through it very quickly. Here's a map ban, 7-map pool, down to 1, and the best of 1 series decider. Overtime is available. You go to OT, you win there, you get 2 points. You win in standard time, you get 3, and if you lose in OT, you only get 1. But it's something. That's the big change that we had. Cafe Dostoyevsky will be played again. Cowana will decide to ban Oregon and take Rogue to Cafe. Jess, your thoughts?
I think it's a good pick. They saw Rogue go up against Eminem. Rogue won it. They saw him go up against Eminem, so they'll have a very fresh VOD to work off of, I think. And unless Rogue have changed things considerably, they might be able to play off of it. So, sure, I don't mind the pick.
I think an important factor here as well is that Cafe is, whilst it's reasonably new in the map pool in terms of its, its latest rendition, it's still something that teams are very, very familiar with. And this was something I commented on for Train Hard earlier. Coming in your first game in the big leagues, and you're on to Chalet, a brand new map. There's a lot of new things to compete with all at the same time there. Whereas Cowana here, they're coming into a solid map choice. Cafe should be one of your absolute staple maps, along with places like Oregon and Coastline. You have to be able to play there, and so I think that gives them a good foundation to not have to worry about the map stuff. They can just worry about settling into EUL and just getting the first game under the belt.
You want to say something, Jess? Or
I was just going to tell Ace that if he hurries up, we can just start the game.
There you go. Blame it on the new guy, Jess. Wow. Honestly,
I'm dunking on Ace. This is how we give him, like, you know.
Yep, you see why Jess and Des don't really mesh super well.
It's an initiation process. Welcome.
Well,
welcome to the show, Ace. Well, Jess, Ace, thank you so much for your input and intel on this one. We are ready to go for our matchup. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're ready. Another Cafe Dostoyevsky, this time between Rogue and Cowana. Rogue barely surviving through EU League in 2020. Cowana making it in through Challenger League. Big rise for their squad with Kendrew now on in 2021. Let's see how it all goes. Our casters are ready. It's Fluke and Hap. All yours.
Thank you, Milosh. And it is indeed we barely survived against a freshly promoted team. And just said, maybe there's something to go off of. But of course, roster changes happened as well, as Kryan is the new addition to the Rogue roster. And of course, Cowana made some changes as well, didn't they?
That they did. Kendrew is on the board now. Obviously, Kayak, who was with the Cowana that was promoted, headed off to G2. So they had to get somebody to fill in those shoes. And why not? They keep showing us the studio, and it's all lit up. And
they're just teasing us.
Yeah.
They're trying to get us
Last time we were there it was APEC. And I left a blazer there, and it's hopefully still there. Fun blazer effect.
It's part of the studio now.
It's part of the set. No, it's
part of the set.
Part of the set, part of the studio. And we're apparently part of Cafe as we go here, us two, for the second time tonight. Let's see if Dostoyevsky plays out slightly differently for two teams that don't have quite as much Russian in them as the previous was, the entirely CIS showdown.
Yeah, we right now have Rogue, who's mainly a German lineup right now. I hope Leon is working on his Deutsch. As Cowana, I believe Cowana, I'm not 100% sure, but I thought it was a German organization, weren't they? I might be confused here.
You know, you're testing my knowledge. There's the potential that it is.
They're from UKIN,
yeah,
so I would assume
play
you know.
They play in UKIN. Yeah, but I know that they're a UKIN team. I'm not one of... Listen, Hap.
I know this for Benelux, for every other org. So,
yeah, I know, but you're an analyst. I'm play-by-play. I'm joking. I'm using that as an excuse.
Yes, they are from Germany.
There you go. Cowana are from Germany, but the team itself grew from the UK scene. Once upon a time, they were called Burning Foxes, was how they joined up. And then they built themselves up from having not a great first season to a great second season. They didn't even get into CL via the UKIN. They were the number one team for the entirety of the season, lost out to Eminem, played through open quals to get into CL, and then played through CL to get into Pro League. So there's the story, guys. If you're a team out there, if you're a team listening and you want to know the route to here, follow the Cowana story.
Just lose your national final
on
purpose.
I mean,
just to go through the open qualifiers and gamble.
Yeah, if the option is there, don't lose the national finals. But at the same time, if you need to do the open, well, here's the proof that it works. And now I guess the proof is whether they can step up to the pace that's going to be applied. But also, hey, Rogan question marks. It's a bit strange talking about this roster and being unsure and how it's going to go because, well, if you somehow missed last season, the first split they were untouchable, and the second split they couldn't get a word in against most of the other teams.
It was really strange to see that. Of course, the suspension that Aces had suffered is a big part in the loss of results in that case. But once he was back, they didn't really manage to get back in, and that does show that it is a very probable emotional team, I would assume. Which would also, like we've always said, they're cursed on lands. They're never really doing too well, get first rounded. But I believe they've brought in a mental coach from the LEC, Bernie, or Bernadette. She's Dutch. She studied sports psychology, so she might be able to help them get over that. And if she did over the season, we might just see a quickly reborn Rogue that will be dominant in the online and offline stages.
Wow, the approach comes from the top floor, as it always does. They start to try and put the pressure onto red. We can see a blue body working its way underneath. It's Crying, obviously the new pickup, and what a gunner on his day. But one of his last forays into all of this wasn't quite as it worked out. There's the swing around the corner of the back of Sloth, drops him and picks off and heads away with the kill. A great take. Fragger versus Fragger. Sloth off the board. He is one to watch if you're new to Cowana because, well, he just explodes on a map. Grizzly applying the pressure onto the skylight. Can't quite find anybody in particular, but is removing utility. That's the purpose of those grenades, to drop those Maestro bubbles and the angles that they have. There's another one that's thrown over. It's a Thatcher, and they're trying to keep it alive, and looking up means it's a bit of a tough angle, and they can't quite hit it.
It's a Gone 6 on the Yana. She just used it, just missed it. I was wondering, sorry that I interrupted you there, but I was just looking at the portrait, like, are they using the Gone 6? Is that why they're using the Yana? Because she gets 2 grenades and a Gone 6. Means she can take care of 3 pieces of utility, which is pretty big. Of course, the only downside now is you no longer have a pistol that you can use for gunfights in case you are finding yourself in a nicky situation. But it doesn't seem to matter as Grizzly just starts to repel in, hoping to pick up a couple of kills right here. Finds the first head, but instantly downed by Rips right after, bringing it to a 3v3 situation.
Yeah, took it very aggressively and was able to make something happen, and it's down to the rest of the team to try and put some pressure from the opposite side. Kendrew, obviously the new big body for the team in that IGL spot, is unfortunately caught by the man lying down just outside the side of the bathroom. Anarchic is trying to step up and swing onto the close corner with Gorgona still keeping a bit of overwatch above 40 seconds. So they will have to descend at some point, and that's those flash canisters trying to burn themselves an angle and a method of approach. Anarchic drives himself closer and finds the header Rips and puts them into a 2 versus 2 with Gorgona able to drop their way in, and the pre-fire takes care of Corey. Swung on the corner Crying, looking for revenge and finds it, a 1 versus 1, but the pings are consistent coming against Gorgona. Swing down the back of White to try and get a little bit of a cheeky put with the shotgun. Can't quite find the skeleton key and can't quite find Crying, who drops away, chasing the man with a shotgun, trying to cut him off, and there is Gorgona!
Man, this was such a chase. They're just like, you see the laughs right there, you see the smiles as they managed to get that round, but they also realize how close it was. Just quickly opening up on the wall right there, like, alright, he's not in there. Must be that he's still in that hallway. Prone, of course, hoping to pick up the kill there, but unfortunately not. And there was a 2v3 situation that Cowana managed to bring back, and he managed to actually take control of. Huge play coming in right here from the new EUL team. To show up against Rogue like that straight away, it was a bit messy. They got the diffuser drop. They didn't really have control of it, but they just managed to go for some of the frags. The Rogue members were a bit too aggressive to try to get the picks out themselves. Instead, they lost both those members. Even though that Crying actually had a really good refrag onto Sloth straight away, they still managed to lose it.
Gorgona is one of the world's only real Buck mains left. Obviously, once upon a time, Buck was a constant when he had the frag grenades in pocket. Then he lost those, and then we kind of lost Buck. Only a couple of players in the top tier still pick him on a regular basis. You look at players like Super Nagiri, and you look at Cowana. He loves the pace of being able to swap between the shotgun and the DMR, or whatever, the rifle, depending on what is bought for the weather. It's what takes people by surprise is the lack of expectation and the, as I said, the quick turn of pace that you don't really get with Sledge, he says, and he proves with a place like that, chasing a man down to use the skeleton key to open the lock that is someone else's spine or face. That's Cowana.
Really love when the skeleton key is being used to try and get some of these frags in. We saw it a couple of times in APAC as well, on Enigiri or Napiu. So I'm always a good fan of seeing the good old skeleton key, the buck shotgun being used to try and take out some of these members left, right, and center whenever you need to chase. It is working quite well for that. Scripps looking to play quite aggressive from that bakery. Having a Rooney, having a laser gate right next to her. It's a C4. Goodbye. Corey gets that kill. Sloth taking off the board. No entry for him this time.
Yeah, unfortunate catch there if you're a Cowana player, as it's just on the opposite side of the wall, drifted a bit too close to danger and made to pay the price, and there's still 2 more C4s in pocket of aces and crying, so expect more explosions that are going to be raining and kind of ricocheting off the ears of Cowana. Quick pickup and reapplication of themselves to the top of red as they steadily try and descend and keep control of the bodies you can see flittering towards the back of train, rotating around the dining area to make sure that there's still a bit of a problem, and Cowana seem a little bit lost as they're trying to find the angle of approach. Grizzly drops his way around to pillars to try and cut off the angle and make sure no one can swing around Zulu in the middle of the floor and make sure that reading turns into a little bit more of a pressure situation. But with Cryan taking the fight to the bottom of the pillar staircase, well, Grizzly's taken out of the occasion entirely.
That's a really big pick because there was still 2 frag grenades on board. There was still the gun 6 ammunition that he had available to him. They're all going to be gone right now. No more use for that. As Anarchic bring that 0, trying to get some information out. Might actually be using the... No, not using it. Oh, that's actually really smart the way he just did that, making sure that the Salmas will go open. I thought he was going to use it on the laser gate right there, but at least they are going to be getting a breach. And with 60 seconds left, that's exactly what Cowana need. But they are still 2 men down, and that means that they need to go for a refrag soon. They need to hunt for it. The question is, can they find it, or will they be taken down first?
They have rough ideas on where everyone is, but they have less bodies, and that means that these trade situations pop up in the guns of Rogue are exceptionally favored. They are very quick to react when they need to pick up the trades. But Cowana is the first to open it, and there is Corey shutting down the entrance there of Anarchic, swings onto the red staircase and doesn't quite catch the kill. Leon, the newly appointed lord, well, he flaunts his lordship over, and Cowana, great with a skeleton key, struggles with flashes and gets picked apart by Corey coming down the stairs.
It's really unfortunate when you manage to bounce off the flash back to you twice in a row right there, and it's even more unfortunate when Medics is actually spectating you doing it, just for, you know, all the people at home just watching you do that.
Oh, if it's funny, Medics will see it.
Yeah, but that's kind of the thing, right? He's such a meme lord, he just knows exactly when something funny is happening.
Yeah.
Oh well. 1-1 in scoreline now as Rogue managed to turn it around straight away. Of course, we've mentioned it before. A 4-2 or 3-3 split is the one you're looking for in favor of the defense. And that means that that first round that Cowana managed to pick up is quite valuable, so to say. And we are going back to Bar Cocktail. Bottom floor was 1. Let's go back to the one where we failed before, is what Rogue says.
I do wonder if they've updated assets to reflect Lord Leon's recent title acquisition. If you follow him on Twitter, he is a lord now, officially.
Is he?
Yeah. So
has he purchased some land from in like Scotland?
I mean, I don't know the true specifics. I just trust the man. I'm assuming he's recently also got a top hat and a monocle to finish off the look. But Lord Leon and the land he controls was often a big point for Rogue. Now, that was one of the things that everybody pointed to, was the partnership originally of Leon and Aces, that setup of the pairing of these 2 amazing fraggers taking control of the space and the map. And I think we saw Leon sometimes struggle with confidence, obviously, in the wake and the loss of ACs. Now, though, having the time to reset themselves, having the time to re-establish the confidence of let's take over this map and this play space, I'm curious to see if we grow into what was that previous first split Rogue again.
Right now, pushing up. Trying to take that control quickly, of course, making sure the hatches are open, putting down some pressure as we are playing on that top floor. Was Grizzly seeming to be preparing for a potential flank watch. Has to be careful for a jump out of Corey, because he seems to be aware of the fact that one is on that balcony. Of course, he's not just going to jump out without having any additional information. Whilst Cowana is getting ready to put up the pressure. Whilst that's a double entry coming in. No, not just quite yet. It's actually return frag to come in right here. And that brings in a 3-on-4 situation with 2 minutes left. And a lot of utility being used right here to try and put some pressure on Grizzly.
Yeah, Grizzly was quick to get the revenge there, and, well, Cryan was one of the ones that has suffered from it. Leon, I said so much about him, and he couldn't quite find the fight on the white stairs swing out, but Sloth is gone yet again. They keep removing this big player that has so much potential from this game where you really need him to shine, especially as it is your first foray into this league. Make a mark early, and then you can build upon it for the rest of the setup. But concerned about where the rest of the Rogue players are going to be, well, playing. They've been manipulating the space very aggressively. They've been quick to rotate and retake pressure points as they need to, and not so scared of the potential of the firefights against Cowana, as we see here. AC's hopping up to see if he can put some pressure down against Gorgona of the Buck underneath, keeping himself alive, sure, but at the same time, if he can try and take him out, well, it's an opportunity he is not going to throw away.
Little time left, 60 seconds. Still trying to open up Gorgona right here. Not able to find the angle as of yet, but could just have made one up onto Aces. It's only about manipulating the angle right now, trying to get the shot off, because they do need to hurry. 45 seconds. There is that 1 minute advantage, and that is currently being used by Gorgona as another kill comes in. Rips will go down. However, Gorgona will receive some fire. In the meantime, is going to be put under quite some pressure as he gets 1 kill, 2 kills maybe. It's going to be taken out eventually. Grizzly is going to be able to pick up the final 2 kills right there, and Cowana are winning the next round. Again, taking the top 4 right here, and that shows that, well, Rogue not really feeling that confident about holding it.
Cowana very cool, very relaxed, and I think they had a lot of wind beneath their wings coming into this. Obviously, as I said, they've already played up from those open situations. This was the game that they avoided as the potential of getting into here by beating Eminem in that final showdown. And then Rogue took the fight to Eminem and kept themselves locked up on the top of the board, picked up Cryan, and, well, are hoping to, guess, reclaim that title as a super team. So far, 2 rounds lost, both on the top floor. Instead, going to take Reading, which is often the third for a lot of teams, as obviously the kitchen is still locked off, and try and find some success. It seems like Cowana, they're happy to play this aggressive game. They're happy to say, swing into us, let's pick this fight, and let's just keep moving around the map. And Rogue, so far, they haven't. I think they would do better with their playstyle against a slightly more placid and a slightly more scared team.
It's looking quite weird, right? Because we're used to Rogue being that big, like, if we're looking all the way back to stage 1, that is. We're used to them being this big team like BDS and G2, who are almost guaranteed to take points against any other team. But then we saw them fall off, right? And then we saw them being revitalized during the relegation match. They basically took care of Eminem quite quickly. I think that's the best way to say it. They didn't really have troubles there, it looked like, right? But now, like, yeah?
Sorry, I thought Medics just reported Cryan.
Oh, did he?
I don't know.
I mean, it would have been funny if he did. But point being, Rogue is, of course, still not completely back yet. They don't have the results yet to show that they're back. And we kind of want them to come back. But Cowana, of course, new team, new IGL probably joining them as well, have a lot of potential. And they will want to show that.
Drop from the top, Sloth. fourth time's the charm? Yes, it is! You find your second after finding the very first of the game, and this time you aren't instantly picked apart. Drones are dropping to give you a little bit more intel, but they are playing beneath you with C4s, and a C4 has been the cost of your life before, so you're not quite safe as of yet. But you've been able to get in, get a kill, and stay alive, which is the most impressive we've seen from the play so far. Can they build behind this? Cowana is steadily opening up all of the possibilities of angles. Shut down the rotation on this top floor as you do on this sort of take as the Gemini swings around the corner to give the game away. Of Cryin holding down with the Alder that does go burr, especially on the big flat firefight that is this top floor. There's the C4, the wrong side of the wall. Oh no, hits the angle, can't hit the shots, and they live for another day.
Indestructible, the place that we're on, only taking a little bit of damage right there through the wall, but not enough to take any out, and that will keep Cowana in a man advantage right here as the impacts are now being used, hoping to make sure that the, heart breach tools are not going to be able to be used. Rips takes up a beautiful shot, however, Sloth manages to respond. That's a double kill for him, keeping the advantage in the hands of Cowana as Grizzly picks up another one as well. It's a 4v2 with only 60 seconds to go.
Holding the angles and trying to get aggressive underneath Leon, still supplying as much information as they can, but there's consistent pings from the hardware, still locked on the second story. A minute on the board, they have to find their way down, and Cowana, well, not like that. Downed on the floor, in a position to crawl to some safety, so they will probably pick him up, but they might catch a snappy kill. No, Corey can't quite get the legs as they pass through. 40 seconds on the board, and Leon still getting the consistent intel that they need. All of them stacked up for the take here as Cowana is back on his feet and able to start making the situation a little bit more uncomfortable inside the site. No one is there, though, and if this is something that they read, they might be able to pop their way down, but they seem slightly unaware. Leon pulls further back, and Corey wraps around pillars, waiting for somebody to hop over. There's Sloth, there's a grenade, there's Sloth, and there's the Lord. Leon making sure his land is uncontested, and Corey swings back round from pillars and finds the revenge. Suddenly, 5 seconds and a cold diffuser in a 2 versus 2. Grizzly is trying to find a safe place to plant behind the books, but they're not quite bulletproof, and the timer is going to catch Cowana with the double!
Beautifully played right there. Knew that he had to cover from the white side of the map first, as that was the way that it was actually going to be contested potentially for the round end, and then instantly knew that the second one was going to be coming down from the pillars. Beautifully picked up, beautiful double kill. Cowana absolutely coming in huge right here for his team, and so far Rogue really struggling.
They're having a great time, and I understand it. It's the thing about...
They're all laughing, smiling.
That's it. It's the good energy. And to be honest, it's an energy that we've seen a lot of teams struggle with before. And yeah, okay, they're 3-1 up against a big team. But this is generally how Cowana always are, win or lose. It's this constant energy of an upstart team that's bringing themselves to this sort of situation. And, you know, you get, obviously, with these wonderful face cams, a much more personal look at the energy of a team, how they're shaping themselves up inside, and the responses that they have to the successes and the failures. Mental game and momentum is something we always reference as casters based on expectations and how we see players play on a day-to-day basis. When you watch someone do the same thing week in, week out, you tend to get an idea how they're doing it, whether they're in a good mood or not, whether things are getting to them or not. And now we get a proper glimpse into all of this to see the energy and to see how teams react. And at the minute, the ball is in Rogue's court of how they can react, how they can pick themselves back up, and how they can bring themselves back in against a Cowana that is, well, cheesy grins and confidence.
See, the thing here is that we talked about before, 4-2 or 3-3 is a decent split for the defensive team. But so far, it's Cowana that is currently on 3 rounds. If they manage to pick up one more, they are finding themselves in a more than decent half and a more than decent split that they can be really happy with. So it's going to be up to them to try and keep that pressure on, to try and make sure that they are going to be coming in with a big and convincing win, even though they had a roster change.
No time wasted getting this wall open. Last time they played a long game on the top floor and lost 2 bodies for it. This time, why bother? Seems to be the MO as Kendrew is able to quickly crack their way through from the bakery towards the site itself. Going to have to cause potentially a little bit more of a comms communication here. Cowana is the bit of the loose rotate by the looks of it, potentially playing around the pillars stairs and pushing their way up on the opposite side to make sure they can lock down the control. It's Anarchic that suffers first. Concerned about where it's from, but it was from the second story. So unfortunately looking in the slightly wrong location.
You're being held from above right here. Corey hoping to pick up a kill as they move through the breach, but so far not really the case yet, as Sloth is waiting to get his reaching round out, dealing a bit of damage. Cowana will go down in the meantime. We're finding ourselves in a 5v4 situation, but the plant is going down next to the reinforced wall, and there's a smoke covering it off, and that means we will be entering a 4v4 after plant situation. So now look at the position of Sloth. He's just hiding all the way in the actual side. It's of course a team kill coming down right now. It's trying to take down Aces, not Corey this time with the team kill, and that leaves us in a 3v2 after plant situation with 30 seconds left, and well, Rogue needing to retake the site.
Oh, why waste time with the other stories? If you feel you can get enough just pushing their way in, Corey is trying to apply some pressure from the bakery and put their way through on the breach that they made before. There's the pepper, there's the spray, and there's unfortunately nothing caught truly on the meal on the opposite side. They can't quite find their way in. There's a trade, there's a drop, there's a Cowana round. 4-1 with a rush.
You just saw them moving up right there into the standings to second place. For right now, for today, due to the big score differential that is currently there, Rogue finding themselves in that 9th place again that they managed to end up in the last season. Of course, it's the first day of the 3-stage year that we have this time before we have the relegations decided. But of course, it's not really a place they want to be. Rogue wants to do better than last year, and they're right now not off to a good start. They had a 9-loss streak in the EUL. They managed to turn it around in the actual relegation game, but it's up to them right now to keep up that momentum, and so far it doesn't really look like they have the opportunity to do so.
Bar Cocktail, one more attempt on this top floor. Not going to go back to kitchen, thinking, well, we'll probably have more chance here, or the expectations of where Cowana might think we might go might be just a little bit different. So instead, they're going to see if they can try and finally make the pieces of the puzzle connect in a positive way up here on the top floor. Feed up and enjoy the drink. Mira is the difference, potentially this time round. We might see a little bit of revenge aggression swinging around the corners. It seems like they're going to try and, I guess, maybe respond to Cowana in a method Cowana might listen to, which is shoot him in the face.
I wonder if that will make them listen. As so far, Cowana has been doing the better shooting in the face kind of tactic compared to Rogue, so let's see if it will work. Of course, those mirror windows are going to be giving you a big advantage, as you'll be able to decide when to peek. They need to anticipate on that or completely ignore it. Now, what we most likely will see is likes of Cowana playing from below, hoping to find 1 or 2 angles to take out at least one of the mirror windows. I believe only the one in the actual A-bomb side is able to be destroyed. The one in the freezer seems to be on a hard surface, meaning that they will not be able to get a direct angle, maybe from the window, but it doesn't look good.
Well, already looking towards the hatches, drones heading down before the feet of a sloth who's playing with the idea of hitting the ground running. It hasn't been the most successful or profitable venture every round, and I think they're aware of that now as they crack and get rid of the Banshee. There's 2 blue bodies inside Cigar Lounge and behind the piano, making sure they can swing on, and there it is. Aces finds Sloth with a very quick pop, and yet again he has found the red stairs, a maker he has met time and time again. Corey goes for the hop out, finds one, waits, and perfectly played. Got Cowana off the board, a huge loss, and this is what we were talking about. Respond with that aggression. Meet Cowana on their terms and their turf, which is to swing into them. The confidence being applied by Rogue now. Leon is looking to try and make that matter, but Grizzly bounces a grenade round and is going to try and take control of the opposite side. In the meantime, Rips finds Anarchic. It's Kendrew and Grizzly left on board.
Oh, I wanted to use the mirror window right there, but Rips was well aware, managed to pick up that kill, and it's only up to Kendrew now in a 1v3 situation. There's still tons of time left. 70 seconds on the clock, and it's most likely going to be used by the IGL as a bit of a timeout, right? Like, try and see what you can do. Break up that momentum a little bit, as Rogue had a good round so far, and I think we can quickly analyze. And I think if we go back to the first kill that came in, it came in due to a drone checking onto the piano, seeing one player there, but didn't really commit to the drone, and just didn't know Aces was playing close. And that allows you to abuse and manipulate that information that you give away freely to pick up that first kill. And from there on, you can start snowballing.
Well, Kendrew is trying to do a certain game you guys might have seen clips about around the corners, and doesn't quite get the intel that they want, but is able to dig their way through. Oh, talk of intel, there's a Banshee screaming and singing right where you're at. Pre-fires a mirror window and another standard spot for sighting people, and no luck, no joy, no Rogue as of yet. Another canister pops down, but it's caught by a Wamai disc. Swings onto the body of your teammate, swings the other way and finds Mirror, pops the head off of Rips, tries to find the next, and there it is! What are you looking at, Corey? It's not the right thing! Almost found something there, Kendrew. But Aces had taken a hike somewhere else.
Aces indeed, walking away, making sure that that round would be safe. The time was running out. It was a 2v1 on site still. He was just hiding into the wide hallway, making sure that there was never enough time for them to actually get that final kill. And there you have it. Rogue able to pick up another round, and that means we are going for a site swap now. It is 4-2. Cowana are in the lead. They have 4 rounds on their attack, and it's up to Rogue right now to try and even better that if they want to make sure that they are going to be the ones to walk away with 3 points here today.
Well, time for a reset, and no time better than that halftime whistle. They at least, obviously, are able to find that final one and put themselves in a pretty decent situation. And as I said, it was met with energy, and that's definitely something that they need to capitalize behind if they're going to start their approach in the attack here. They can be so good at punishing those teams to get a little bit aggravated and get a little bit edgy and antsy and force themselves out of position. If they can try and play that game against Cowana, they could really start pulling some of these numbers back in terms of the board. But at the same time, it's down to Rogue to try and apply the pressure on this site. And if Cowana aren't going to play that game, they might be able to find themselves with 2 pretty good lockdown rounds after another here, setting themselves up with similar operators. And we have a 0 on the board in the hands of Rips to try and get some control through the solid rules. Rooney has made many showings today.
Has been making many showings, and of course it is due to the fact, I think, that it is a bit more of a flexible caster, you can almost call it, right? You can shoot through the laser gates. You can... Oh, look at this. The one punch, of course. You don't have to prep the window. That's great. The C4 comes out. It's way too wide. Or he's going to be well aware and cooking a grenade and tossing it up there. Not find anything, but as we go back to the initial topic right here, the laser gates, of course, you can move through them freely. The enemy will have to use utility to make sure that it doesn't deal damage to them, and it just protects you overall without having the opportunity or losing the opportunity to rotate. A Sloth picks up that first kill in the entry, so I think it's a bit more of a flexible caster, which makes it easier to escape your sights.
Sloth pre-firing the window on his way up, drops the man and leaves him out to dry and washing, and now it's a matter of seeing if they can apply some pressure here in Arctic. First to suffer a huge chunk of health as a frag grenade rolls down, but doesn't quite get the kill. There's the Gun 6. Oh no, there's the camera gun. Even, not the Gun 6 as of yet, and there's Corey, who is the next to suffer. The Sam Cam is the one that gets the pip in the eye and everything going through, and Kendrew tries to get the final blow and bullet on a body, but can't quite make his way around, and Corey is back to his feet. But both Brian and Corey have suffered extensively for the trouble round the top. In the meantime, Anarchic and Kendrew aren't faring much better, so it's a battle of slivers. And when you have frag grenades still on the board, as well as 2 C4s, that's a big worry.
And the worry here is, of course, as well, that you have to C4s. You were wondering, Kendrew, why didn't you toss that the C4 up into the red stairs? Because you could have gotten a double kill there. Well, that's because the Aruni gate also manages to catch friendly projectiles, so it was just impossible. So the Aruni gate actually there not really working in the favor of the defenders, but of course normally should be. As Grizzly hearing some noise right now around white, is wondering if he is going to get pushed from that window or not.
Well, there's two bodies. Rips is on the top, and we can see Corey wants to make the approach from underneath. And Arctic suffers, though, from underneath. Red played, and unfortunately running in the spot. Is that the worst time disconnect we have ever seen in Professional Rainbow Six? Potentially. And that is such a blow, unfortunately, to Rogue. You have to feel bad for them. Grizzly suffers at the top of White Stairs as they try and capitalize and close some pressure down, holding the close angle now. They're still looking for that Maestro that they know is downed, and, well, 20 seconds, but what a bitter tasting 20 seconds. It might turn into Beagle. Cowana finds one. There's Leon swinging in, but gets traded by Grizzly. Swinging up the stairs. Corey, low health, sees one on the top of the staircase, but with only a handful of seconds, won't even get that.
That is so painful. Crying getting it down with the skeleton key, but not the next shot due to the disconnect. Just imagine the timing on that, right? You're starting to shoot with that skeleton key. You get the down, you see him down there, you want to click one more time? No.
It's
gone.
As I said, maybe the most heartbreaking disconnect.
It's really unfortunate. That's for sure. And you can only wonder how differently the round would have gone, of course. Because the guy was still down, but you'd lost a player due to it. That might have been necessary in the final moments of that round right there that you just didn't have. And, well, that is going to be putting Cowana onto yet another round, as they mentioned to, well, retake the site, of course, and mentioned to win that round at that moment. And that puts them at 5-2. That means they're only one round away, just one round away from reaching the 1-point mark and having the opportunity to go for 3. That's going to be putting a lot of pressure down onto Rogue.
That's it. I mean, it was a tough opening game for them, but they are teams that should be obviously familiar with each other, with the possibility of them playing each other not too long ago. It seems Cowana have been very quick to adapt to the pickup of Kendry, but at the same time, the role that he was filling of Kayak didn't take the biggest amount of adaptation or change. It was, in a way, Cowana is a team built around that core amount of pressure that can be applied by Sloth, Gorgona, and Grizzly. And there's always usually at least one or two of them that steps up. It's similar in a way to how Virtus Pro occasionally is, where they have these possibilities of you don't know who's going to pop off. And this time today, they're lucky that two of them are. Gorgona and Grizzly have been pretty consistently getting into firefights, taking control of the play space, and obviously pulling clutches at the same time. Whereas Rogue, as I said, they haven't quite been able to get that handle on Cavana's loose gun, let's take over the floors of cafe style.
Just heard as well that besides the technical timeout, Rogue instantly called a tactical timeout just to make sure that they can discuss with their coach. I mean, the game was already going to be interrupted anyway, so why not instantly make use of the matter and, you know, try and talk to it, you know? Because maybe you don't want to call the timeout because it interrupts your flow as well. So why not use it if it gets interrupted anyway?
That's it. There's a lot of decisions to be able to be put together here, and that is one of them. It's the new beauty of being able to have the tech timeouts, which obviously were previously only able to be done on a LAN environment, just because of the limitations of the build. We now have that in online. We now have the ability for these teams to take these minute moments, and we have seen those be deciding factors for multiple teams, I'm going to say across the entire history of the majors, but also earlier today, Virtus Pro pulled one against Empire and were able to swing the game round into their favor.
It's a powerful tool, especially if you have a good coach behind you that has the opportunity to just completely change the mood of the players and turn them into the right direction, because of, like, they always have that little bit of an overview, right? They can see all 5 monitors, they know exactly what's going on, have that eagle view, and that allows them with their strategical minds to quickly make the adaptations necessary to turn your failure into success. The timeouts are a great tool to make use of that coach. And thus, we saw it being used successfully earlier today. Let's see if it will be the case this time around.
Well, Cryan is looking for anyone that might be playing around the back. Kendra was the first to suffer a big bit of damage, and always worrying when it's the Echo and the core support line of your hold alongside an Arctic that is suffering first, where they're out of position or just potentially almost caught out and outplayed. You never really know. Either way, they're still standing, and those drones can be big. Sloth, however, is not. Leon applies the pressure from the bottom of White, just outside by the spawn, concerned about the window and waiting for the rest of Rogue to get control, but it doesn't seem like there's anyone trying to offer some countenance there as of yet. They are playing slow and steady, and they're making sure they don't make any more mistakes to feed into the hands of Cowana.
1 minute 20 left on that clock. The pressure will be coming down. They need to be making some, well, pace towards the actual site. And what we saw earlier today, that the majority of the second floor already had been opened up on floor level. They're only just getting started. Corey hammering down those floorboards, hoping to find some vertical angles, as Leon is deploying his Selmas, possibly opening up the walls or even hatches. Is Rogue that need to put some pressure down. They need to start pushing. They need to start getting the information about the players of Cowana. Otherwise, they are going to run out of time quickly.
Yeah, they were able to get rid of Sloth, who's kind of had a bit of a hit and miss game so far. Still even on the KD, which shows the power, but he's quite often been the first off the board. In a situation like that, as I said earlier, Rogue can be so good at punishing players that overextend. They seem to swing out towards Leon on that garage door and, well, suffered the consequences. Now, though, less than 30 seconds and 3 bodies still on the second story and a smoke canister stopping the immediate push downstairs. Rips is looking to try and tear his way down towards Grizzly, who is hanging around outside Coat. In fact, no, the Claymore goes down instead. There's the trade. There's Leon and Grizzly getting one apiece, locking themselves in from Coat. Another one falls to the hands of Cowana as Corey drops down to try and pick up the pieces, but Grizzly is there yet again. Corey just going to have to take the damage as they're out of time. And now, out of lives, map point, all to play for.
I was going to say there is no time. 20 seconds left. You still saw Rips, I believe, putting down a Claymore onto the red stairs. It's not really what you want to have happen. Actually, if he would have gone down the stairs and he would have checked his left, he was going to be able to pick up a double kill right there. And at that moment in time, the diffuser would actually be able to go down. So small misplay, miscall coming in right there from Rogue. And it finds us right now to a match point right here for Cowana. In the first EUL game, many might have questioned them as they came in fresh. We even heard in an interview that they don't mind being called the underdogs. And I'm sure that, well, many people will see them as that for at least some part of the EUL season. And, well, they are here to show that they are going to be competing with the best. They're looking to be taking down Rogue in somewhere in the next 4 rounds.
Well, 4 rounds to do it, but sooner rather than later. As you can see in the fantastic new UI that we have from production in the top right, it shows if the match ended on this round and this current setup with this much of a difference, where the teams would end up. And Cowana looking at the potential of a second place. Oh, that's pretty tasty for a recently promoted team.
It's very tasty indeed, and it might not be that way, but you can quickly get that screenshot and get all the Twitter clout. Some Reddit karma, if you prefer.
Whichever is your tipple.
Whichever is your favorite currency on internet points, you know? But it's definitely a good start. Cowana, if they manage to take down Rogue right here, it's going to tell us 2 things. 1, Cowana is stronger than some might have expected, even with the loss of Kayak, who went to G2. And 2, Rogue might not actually be back yet, even though they showed strongly against M&M in the relegation game. They just don't seem to be able to get into the game so far, and that is really worrying if you're looking at the next 3 stages ahead.
Steady descent starts to come through, and Grizzly finds 1 and Anarchic finds 2. And really, things aren't lighting up in the guns of Rogue, already cut down at the loss of half health either way. But you look at who's off the board. That is your Ashe and your Zofia. That is a lot of your capability at removing things from the board. Those Banshees are going to scream so much louder. And it's just such a big blow towards a team that is already suffering and stumbling. Corey hops into the top floor and suffers almost immediately. An Echo hits them, but the C4 downs them. And now it's a 5 versus 2. Rips and Leon separated by most of a building. One stuck in the top floor and isolated. And well, they at least find the Echo drone, but now they know their numbers known. They're swinging to try and find somebody, but oh no, a minute 30.
It's plenty of time. However, Cowana is not looking to give this away. They're all spread out, but they still have the opportunity to go for refrags, and that is something Rogue was lacking. 2 of their members, the Ashe and the Zofia, got taken down at the very instant same time, and Sloth now picks up the kill onto rips it all up to Leo now. Manages to get one for his efforts, hopes to go for the ace clutch right here, and if he manages to pull it off, it will be a very big play, a very lordly in play, so to say, but he will be taken down from above. Sloth gets the final kill with the pistol. You can see how happy they are. It's their first game in EUL. It's their first win in EUL, and it's Cowana that is showing the world that Rogue is definitely not back yet.
I'm assuming chat is learning about Cowana now, and the hashtag is #TheWana. They're a team that will continue this. The smiles are rampant, but so was the play. And a 7-2 showing. Yeah, they introduced themselves pretty well into this. Rogue, unfortunately, still a bit shaken, it seems, but that is far from over for them. Obviously, it's the first game back after a long time, and it's the first time for them to really reset up with Cryan in the roster. Some rosters have hit the ground running. Some, well, luckily there's a replay mode, because they'll do some learning for sure.
Yeah, that is definitely going to be helping them here right now, and, well, there's still 8 matches to go in this stage, right? It's all but over, yet you can still end up in the first place without any issue. And let's see if Rogue is going to be able to bounce back from that one. But massive props to Cowana for their first game and their first victory. But let's toss it over to the analysts and see if they agree with our praising words.
Thanks so much, Hap, Fluke, Jess, Ace,